In this example, we're going to calculate and explain an expected value. So take a moment to pause and read through the full problem statement. So here we're looking at an insurance company. So first of all, we have to have an idea of whose perspective are we looking from, because that's going to tell us whether or not our values of our events are positive or negative. So when an insurance company, if that's the perspective, sells a policy for $1,200, they are gaining a positive $1,200. So there's other events as well here described. There's events where 1 in 100 policyholders file a $10,000 claim, and then you see a couple more events here. There's a total of 4 events. Now, I may not have known that right off the start, and that's where the expected value formula is very flexible. So I chose this particular screenshot because it had 4 events, but I do know that if there was only 3 events, I would just do this much with my expected value formula. But the first part is identifying all of those events. Okay, so I'm going to start this process here. That first event is that the insurance company sells a policy. That happens 100% of the time. So they're going to gain $1,200. That's why I've got this positive. And the probability of that happening is 1. Okay, so that happens for everybody, every policy holder. To that, I'm going to add the value of the next event. So some of these people, 1 in 100, file a $10,000 claim. So from the insurance company's perspective, the value of that event is a negative $10,000. And that happens 1 out of 100 times, out of 1 in 100 policyholders. And then I'm going to keep going with this. So let's look at the next event. The next event is that 1 in 250 policyholders file a $40,000 claim. So the value of that event for the insurance company is a negative $40,000. They're going to lose that much with a probability of 1 out of 250, because 1 out of 250 policyholders file that type of claim. And then lastly, I see that 1 in 400 policyholders file a $70,000 claim. So just like the others, that would be a negative event for the insurance company happening 1 out of 400 times. Okay, so now when I go to type this stuff into my calculator, instead of typing in separate little pieces like this, I am going to do just a little bit here to kind of clean it up some. I do know that 1,200 times 1 is just 1,200. And one of the things I'm going to do in my calculator is I'm going to go ahead and say that because I'm adding a negative every time, I'll just use the subtraction key. Okay. And one more thing I'll do is because I'm multiplying a whole number times a fraction, I'll just go ahead and multiply these together as 10,000 over 100 like this. And then I'll subtract the next one. Just imagine that there, like you're multiplying that fraction. That would be 40,000 over 250. Get a little bit more space here. And I'll subtract 70,000 over 400. Okay, so now let's turn to the calculator. So we've got 1,200 minus a fraction. Notice I'm using that fraction key just so that it looks like the way I wrote it. Be very careful with the zeros here because we've got a lot of zeros going on. All right, I press the right arrow key to get out of that fraction, and then minus another fraction. Press the right arrow to get down to the denominator, and press the right arrow to get out of the denominator, out of the fraction altogether, and then minus. Notice that I'm using here the minus key and not the negative key, but that was by choice. If you were doing plus the negative, then you would use that negative key. There is a difference there according to this calculator. Okay, so I've got one more fraction for 400. Press enter, and that gives me the expected value of, from the insurance company's perspective, of selling one policy, $765. So because that value is positive, we expect that to be a profit. So just like we know insurance companies work, they don't, sell policies for nothing. And so they're going to make some kind of a profit. So they would want that expected value to be positive. Now, this next question is asking over a more, I guess you could say, over several policies, we could say, that the entire company, looking over all of the policies that it sells. And it says here, if the company sells 30,000 policies, what is the expected profit or loss? So if 765 is the value of just one, all we need to do with that is take 765 and multiply it by selling 30,000 policies. And this is what we should get. This very large number, 22,950,000. And again, because that is positive, the insurance company experiences a profit.